Hello, guys, and welcome to Cricket Caviar. Today, I'm going to talk about the fifth day of the Melbourne Test and the session three. I'm picking this session as the most defining moment of the series because till 16 days of Test cricket played, India were locked 1-1 with Australia, and it seemed that this will go as a draw, and both teams will go to Sydney with a chance to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and Australia will have to do all the running in Sydney to become 2-1. But what happened in the last session of fifth day, and that's why Test cricket is the greatest sport because it challenges you till the end, till the last day, till the fifth day, in the 15th session of the match, till 16 days, India and Australia were inseparable. They were tied 1-1 in the series, and obviously India got some help with the rain, but still the scoreline was 1-1. But what happened on the fifth day? First of all, there was some criticism around Australia, who were not declaring, who were playing as per Australian standards, you could say defensive cricket, not declaring their innings and not asking India to bat. And they gave themselves a little over 80 overs. So there was some criticism that they should have given India at least 100 overs, given themselves some time with the new ball, because we all know the second new ball is also equally lethal in taking up the lower order wickets. So Australia didn't give themselves enough overs after the second new ball. Secondly, India lost 3 wickets in the first session, but the second innings, even Pant, the most naturally aggressive batsman of the Indian team, Rishabh Pant, decided to bat with lot of patience. He even calmed down Yashasvi Jaiswal, who was on his first tour to Australia. Yashasvi Jaiswal was looking for some release shots, but Rishabh Pant asked him to calm down, and that he was showing a lot of maturity for a senior player that he is now. And we all thought that this game would probably end in a draw after the second session. Australia had to take 7 wickets. Even the commentators, if you hear the commentary, so the commentators were thinking, oh, it's a drawn game. They were talking about Shane Warne. Of course, when the clock hits 3:50 p.m. in Melbourne during the Boxing Day test, so everyone starts taking their hat off to the magician who is no longer with us, that is Shane Warne. So the Shane Warne tribute was going on, and there was also one thing that was fearing Australia. They thought that okay, we are not going to win this game, but India is looking for a draw probably. Although they were not sure if India is looking for a draw, but there was 228 runs to be scored and only 35 overs left in the game. So the run rate was around 6, and they thought, why not bowl Travis Head with the old ball, because it was the same venue in Melbourne where they got hit with the overrate penalty in 2019-21 cycle, the first cycle of WTC, and which allowed New Zealand to qualify instead of Australia. Otherwise, Australia could have faced India in the final and probably won that final and had 2 World Test Championships by now, 2 out of 2, that is. But there was some fear in Australian minds that we are not going to win, but we may lose some points because of the slow over rate. So they decided to bowl Travis Head and Nathan Lyon. And this third session that started with 54 overs played, for the next 8 overs, only the spinners were bowling. And there is one interesting thing that Australians started to chirp a lot, and this reminded me of the Sydney Test, which Australia had failed to win on the last tour of India, where Ravichandran Ashwin and Hanuma Vihari played an excellent rearguard action. They survived 43 overs, and India batted 97 overs in total to draw the Test match in Sydney. But here, I mean, the pitch looked dead probably for all reasons, and there was no chance that Australia was going to take those wickets, so they decided to play conservatively and not lose, get their points deducted on over it. They were bowling Travis Head and Nathan Lyon from the other end. But Sam Constas, he was continuously chirping a lot at Yashasvi Jaiswal at from the silly point area. And what I saw was Yashasvi Jaiswal was clearly getting irritated. You could see 2 or 3 times Yashasvi trying to pull out of his batting stance because he was getting a lot of verbals from Sam Constas, and I think mentally Yashasvi Jaiswal did get affected because you know they were also mocking him for the dropped catches of the previous day, where Yashasvi Jaiswal had dropped three catches and allowed Australia to be back in the game from 91 for six. So you know Australian sledging is so clever, and now I have newfound respect for Australian sledging. Since 2018, of course, they were labeled as cheaters, they were branded as cheaters, they were branded as cocky because they used to sledge so much, they used to they used to play pretty hard cricket, to be honest, the Australians. But here, if you see, the sledging was quite purposeful. It was not until the third session they actually started sledging and mouthing off Jaiswal. And I think Sam Constas played a brilliant part in this. Going back to this series, like Australia had been humiliated in Perth, and we had all criticized Alex Carey because he was not chirpy enough, he was not lifting the mood of the team. And Pat Cummins declared that Perth test as a humiliation because Australia had to allow India the advantage of declaring on them, and that was one of the rare times when an away touring team had declared on Australia, and that was kind of a humiliation that they faced when Virat Kohli scored a century. Marnus Labuschagne was bowling to him, and this time around, Alex Carey was jumping up and down, saying, "Come on, Gary! Come on, Gary!" Similar to what Tim Payne used to do, or the other keepers like Matthew Wade used to do in previous tours. And Sam Constas being the 19-year-old in the team, there is no one in the 20s in this team. So Sam Constas was constantly chirping at him. After the wicket of Rishabh Pant fell, if you see that wicket, many are calling it as the turning point, and rightly so, because Rishabh Pant was being very patient, and suddenly, he saw Yashasvi Jaiswal is getting runs very comfortably. He's just playing down the ground to the off spinners, and he thought, why not I also score some runs? And Rishabh Pant tried to play a pull shot in the over before to Travis Head, but that was fielded in the deep by Pat Cummins, and he thought he missed out on a chance to score a boundary. And then again, Travis Head bowls a loopy half tracker, and this time Rishabh Pant goes for the full blooded hit, and he's unfortunately caught at Mitchell Marsh. Even the commentators thought it was Pat Cummins because Pat Cummins had just saved a boundary in the last over. And if you hear the commentary, so they said, "Oh, he's caught by Pat Cummins." No, it's Mitchell Marsh. We apologize. So it was Mitchell Marsh there. And then you can see Scott Boland coming into the bowling, and Nathan Lyon continuing on to bowl from the other end. And Scott Boland got the lucky charm that he got Ravindra Jadeja in the first over itself, and then the very next over, calamity strikes Indian team, because the reason that they were here in the fifth day was because of Nitish Kumar Reddy, and he was totally overwhelmed by the occasion, overawed by all the media attention. And this was one of the points raised by one of the Australian commentators, Mark Nicholas, was actually saying that he may be nervous because he's coming out to bat after a lot of emotional turmoil. The way his family reacted, the way he reacted, and he did get out in the next over defending Nathan Lyon. Surprisingly, in the previous test matches, he had not chosen to defend Nathan Lyon, but always play attacking strokes too. But this time he got out defending, and the ball caught his outside edge, and Smith took a brilliant catch. Uh, After these three quick wickets, also, we saw there was some kind of fight by Washington Sundar. There was some kind of fight by Yashasvi Jaiswal. Both tried to, stave off the Australians. And then there was a bowling change with Pat Cummins coming in. And if you see Boland also, he tried lot of things. He tried round the wicket. He tried over the wicket. He got success of Jadeja from round the wicket, but still he tried over the wicket. And we saw Pat Cummins come in with a new approach. If you see Pat Cummins bowling in that session, so he tried couple of bounces to Jaiswal. Initially, Jaiswal was ducking. Then he moved around Sam Constas from silly mid off. So Sam Constas, even to the pacers, was standing at silly point, and he moved that silly point to not a forward short leg but a backward short leg kind of position, and then a forward short leg. And Sam Constas was continuing to be, chirping at Yashasvi Jaiswal, and I felt that Yashasvi Jaiswal just wanted to smack Sam Constas. He actually managed to smack him once against Nathan Lyon, and in the next over, he again tried to smack uh, the head of Sam Constas, take the head out of that forward short leg, and somehow he managed to edge that. Now there is controversy around that dismissal because it didn't get caught on the Sneeko, but there was a clear deflection. Ultimately, as Simon Toffel says, the correct decision was made. So yeah, and after, if you see, after Yashasvi got out, the hopes were really thin. Washington Sundar was fighting brilliantly at one end, but he could not just retain the strike. He could not farm the strike versus tail. Jasprit Bumrah got out. He had done enough with the ball, and he had no patience left with the bat. But still, he tried to play a defensive stroke, got caught in the slips. Uh, they started chirping at Washington Sundar. There was some funny scenes where Pat Cummins was also seen wearing a helmet and standing close in, and definitely there was some Sunrisers Hyderabad references because everyone was laughing a lot, and they were just trying to get on the nerves of Washington Sundar. Washington Sundar was standing at one end, but ultimately, the wickets fell. Siraj went down, Akashdeep went down. The appeal for Akashdeep was also doubtful, but the replay showed that even though Sneeko came on, the spike came on a little bit later, there was a clear red spot on the bat, and Akashdeep was clearly out. And then comes the last wicket, Siraj, and who better than Nathan Lyon to take that last wicket? And all the commentary was throughout that session was, will Australia be able to use the new ball? They will take it straight away as soon as the new ball becomes available to them. And the irony is that India could not even take them far enough to force them to take that new ball, because if you see, the session started at 54 overs. Rishabh Pant got out around 58th over, 59th over, and then they played only 20 overs, to be honest. All 7 wickets fell within 20 overs, including 3 falling in that cluster of Rishabh Pant, Jadeja, and Nitish Reddy. Those 3 wickets actually fell within the 4 overs, and the next 3 wickets also fell after in those 3 to 4 overs. So this was a poetic win for Australia. They didn't even take it to the final half an hour of play. So when Washington Sundar was batting, actually the umpire said that 15 mandatory overs period has started, and I was with a little bit of hope that Washington, with the strong defense that he was showing in that knock of 5 runs of 45 balls, maybe he could stave off this Australian attack, and he could be the hero today, just like Ashwin and Vihari were in Sydney. He could be the hero, and the mental effect. They were talking about the mental effect that Sydney draw had on Australia when they went to Gabba in 2021, which was the previous tour. So Ashwin and Vihari saving that Sydney test actually frustrated Australia a lot, and kind of made them too desperate in Gabba, and that could have happened in Sydney test match had India been able to draw that test match and gone 1-1 level. But there is another twist to this tale. I want to say that why did India even think about a draw? Because the equation for WTC finals was simple. You had to go for the win, and you had to win a test match in Australia. And what better venue it could have been to win a test match than enough on a flat pitch in Melbourne, chasing 340 runs in 92 overs. And I think India should have gone for the win, because even if they lost or draw, it wouldn't have made a difference to their WTC qualification, because they still would have had to win in Sydney. And that's where my point is, even if you had drawn that test match, even if you had managed to draw that test match, you still would have been in a must-win situation in Sydney. And henceforth, I feel that India should have taken some risks even after 33 for 3. they should have taken Rishabh Pant should have played his natural game, and like he played in Sydney, which was a much spicy pitch. He should have played his natural game, and Yashasvi Jaiswal anyway played his natural game, slowed down a bit after that Rishabh Pant dismissal, but he got some 88 out of 200, so he was playing the perfect foil for Rishabh Pant. If Rishabh Pant could have gone berserk at the other end, taken some risks, and even if India had lost it, even though India would have, even though India lost it, right? So it didn't make any difference. So why could you not have taken some risks and gone for the win instead of playing for the draw? And I think Australians totally climbed on India when they saw that Rishabh Pant and Yashasvi Jaiswal were defending. They were able to bowl Travis Head. They were able to bowl long spells of Nathan Lyon. They were able to get those close in fielders. They were able to sledge, make all that talk, and put Indian batsmen under pressure with lot of verbal skills that they have. And I mean, that session was just poetic. That was just beautiful session. As a neutral of Test cricket, as an Indian, obviously, it's just crashing. As an Indian fan, if you, I mean, in hindsight now, I feel that was a brilliant session of Test cricket. And everything that happened in that Test match with Pat Cummins fighting out, with Nitish Reddy fighting out with the lower order, with Labushin fighting the demons in his head, with Jasprit Bumrah calling him the luckiest batter ever in the world. With so many things going on, with Sam Constas flying with Virat Kohli, with so many things going on, that finally came down to Yashasvi Jaiswal and Washington Sundar, and even that 5-6 overs of play that Yashasvi and Washington had together, that was also frustrating Australia, and they actually made some bowling changes. They decided to bring on Pat Cummins instead of Boland. Then they again brought in Boland after they felt Stark was also unfit. There he was carrying some kind of niggle. So overall, I felt it was brilliant captaincy, because even the bowlers were thinking a lot how to get the dismissals. So if you see Scott Boland, he's continuously changing from round the wicket to over the wicket. Pat Cummins is continuously changing his ends. So if you see the Yashasvi Jaiswal over, he started from round the wicket, then he changed to over the wicket. He was trying to definitely bowl two bouncers every over to Yashasvi Jaiswal. So I think it was just brilliant, strategy. When our team is playing defensive cricket, how do we force a wicket? We have to take 7 wickets in the session, and after 6 wickets there was a lull, and still Australia knew that every wicket is important. It's not like, okay, we got 3 quick wickets, now let's relax. Sam Constas kept on chirping 7 and 8, boys, 7 and 8. He knew that the one wicket falls, the next wicket is going to fall again. So that's what optimism does to you. You in Test cricket, you always need to be optimist, and you need to believe that you can pull off a win from any situation that the game is. And India were not optimists, and ultimately the optimists get rewarded in Test cricket, and that is how it portrays life in a way, because you've had a long journey, but what matters is how you finish with a lot of optimism and fire, and that's what Australia did. And that's why it was an iconic celebrations all around, and they call it one of their top 5 wins in Australia versus India. And actually it was a Monday. If you consider, it was a Monday in India, it was a Monday morning, and a lot of people actually thought that draw was inevitable, and they switched off their TVs, even including me. Like, I thought, okay, now Pant and Yashasvi. Then I thought Washington and Yashasvi are going to carry India to a draw here. But Australians just kept on fighting, and it was a record Monday morning, crowd at Melbourne Cricket Ground, and it was an iconic win at an iconic venue. And that win just turned around the series for India, because they collapsed absolutely on a green pitch in Sydney, and probably that defeat left a lot of scars in Indian team management, and they really believed there is no way, even drawing the series. They dropped their captain. It just shows that so many news articles came on the first day of the year. So it just left Indians in a very negative space after that collapse that happened I mean, it was amazing, amazing cricket for Australia. I think we have done a lot of videos where we have criticized Indian batters and everything, but Scott Boland finally ending with the same bowling average as Bumrah. Australia, first time in the 21st century, coming from 1-0 behind to win a test series uh, against any nation, and a 5 test series against any nation. And you know, whatever Cummins did, whatever Travis Head did, no one is even picking Travis Head in their test team of the year. He got two player of the matches in a series which was dominated by Bumrah and Boland and Mitchell Stark, and even Pat Cummins. So hats off to the Australian team for yes, I know it's their home conditions. They designed the entire schedule, but so does India, so does every home nation, and I don't think anyone has the right to complain. Especially Indians, we can't complain because we do the same thing to teams which are touring, and that's what we tried versus New Zealand, which didn't work for us. So many congratulations to Australia. I just wish Sunil Gavaskar had come along with border. Wish CA had invited Sunil Gavaskar also. But it was a fitting end to the Border Gavaskar Trophy. One of the uh, great series played in last 3-4 years, which has kept the television audience hooked to the beauty of Test cricket, and that's why Test cricket, like Mark Nicholas says, it keeps on changing, but it's always the same. So that's it from Cricket Caviar. Please subscribe our channel, and thank you so much for watching.